that's because I believe that the children in this community are worthy of investment. I think that the families in this community are worthy of investment. I know that our neighborhoods are worthy of investment. And our community stands ready to work with anyone and everyone who is willing to be a partner in the work that we all know needs to get done so that our children and families and neighborhoods are succeeding and prospering again in this community. And I speak from personal experience because I was born and raised in Flint. I went to Flint public schools. My children are now in Flint's public schools. My grandmother lives in the house. My one surviving grandparent lives in the house that she and my late grandfather raised my mother and her brothers in the city of Flint. My parents just live a couple blocks down the street from us in the city of Flint. And when I look back on the wonderful opportunities that I've had in my life, and of course this honor of serving as your mayor, I know very well that those opportunities have come to me because people along the way made a decision about their life to invest in me. Now, I had some great teachers in the Flint schools who built me up. And you know, they probably didn't have to work that hard. They didn't get paid extra for staying up late grading those papers or organizing those enrichment trips. But they were committed to investing in the youth in this community. And I benefited from that. I benefited from an economy where people could choose to get themselves educated and earn a living that provided a middle-class life. And we know that today we need to make decisions so that our youth, our children and grandchildren, have the support that they need to take that education and build on it. We need to invest in our teachers. We need to invest in the support staff and the programs that keep them in school and encourage them to learn and do their best. We need to have a state economy where people who work hard can get ahead again. And look, folks, we need to be honest with ourselves. We've seen a certain kind of recovery the last few years. But I can tell you, in the city of Flint, when we look at our income tax returns, which is our little bit of the money that we get when you all go to work, we have more people working for more hours, but the income's not growing. So we need to support some folks who are going to work and doing the right thing. And that's why I support this agenda of the Earned Income Tax Credit. This is the greatest anti-poverty program for working families that this country has ever seen. And Presidents Reagan and Clinton and Bush all supported it. And now we're at a point in time where people get together and think that they'd rather do something else. I don't think that's right. I think that families who work hard should be rewarded and have an opportunity to succeed. And one of the things that the state government can do is continue to provide for the Earned Income Tax Credit. It sounds simple to us, and that's why we need to take our voice and the Reinvest Express to Lansing and make our voice heard so that working families who may not have the time that some of us have to do this work, that they have a voice and that their voice is heard so that they have that support going forward. Our state has had a proud tradition of combining with the federal credit, and we need to continue that. This is not a time for us to turn our backs. This is a time for us to lean forward and to do what we know works, and that's a good use of our resources. Of course, that same thing can be said of the way our state needs to invest in our local communities. Long time ago, we made an agreement in Michigan that local communities would not collect the sales tax. We would allow the state to collect the sales tax. It's a lot easier to have one tax than 1,000 taxes all across the state. Those funds would be collected, and we would have what's called revenue sharing. We would share those resources. Well, unfortunately, over the last 10 years, and you can blame Democrats and you can blame Republicans for this decision, the idea was, well, the state would like to use a little bit more of that money because, the state has some budget issues. Well, guess what? Flint, Michigan has some budget issues. And Detroit has some budget issues. And if you want to look at the size of the city deficit that we've experienced over a number of years, you'll find that that's just about equal to the revenue sharing that we're no longer getting. And even in Detroit, where the debt load that accumulated over years is a separate issue, that the annual operating structural deficit is just about the same as that revenue not sharing. And that's not right. We're all paying into that state sales tax. And we all need to make adjustments in our budgets. I think we all understand that. But I don't see any reason why, when state sales tax revenues are going up, that the amount of money being shared should be going down. You don't want a Michigan where some people choose to do better at the expense of some folks who are going to have to do worse. We want a Michigan where we all do better together, where we have shared accountability, but we also have shared prosperity. And I'm very proud that this coalition has said that there needs to be a restoration of revenue sharing so that we can all provide the necessary services. None more important than public safety. And that's a general fund service. And the revenues that are shared from the state are a general fund revenue. So when that number goes down, the service level goes down. And there's no reason, now that we're beyond this recession, and state revenues are back up to where they were before the recession, that there should be less sharing. We want to share in success. Thank you. And the last point, and we'll hear a lot more about this from our keynote speaker, who I'm very pleased to have with us here today in Flint, is we have to make continued investments in community-based work around violence prevention. Yes, the Flint Police Department has a job that has to be done each and every night. The Michigan State Police troopers and federal agents who are assisting that work are doing vital service, and we all want that to continue, and our resources allow for that. But there's a request now for some additional investment in violence prevention. It's a lot easier to have a few ounces of prevention than to have to continue to pay for pounds and pounds and pounds of cure. You all know the statistics that someone can go to an Ivy League undergraduate degree for about the cost of federal incarceration. And it's an expensive proposition either way. Education or incarceration. We want more education. We want more violence prevention so that folks have just that much better of a chance of staying on the right path and getting through that education at the high school level and going on to a college degree or training. So I don't think it's too much to ask when the economy is growing and state revenues are growing every quarter, that $2 or $3 million gets set aside for an investment in violence prevention. I don't think that's too much to ask. So I'm glad that the Reinvest Express is taking that message to our decision makers in Lansing. The governor can put this in his budget proposal. And Democrats and Republicans in the House and the Senate can support violence prevention based on a few decades of great research that shows that initiatives, when done right with community support like what we have in this room, makes a difference in the lives of people. Our youth, our families, our neighborhoods. That's the investment that we want. And I believe we're worthy of that investment. Well, we don't have to go with a handout. We don't have to say we have this extraordinary need. We need to say our kids are worth it. Right. Our families are worth it. Our neighborhoods are worth it. We're a great state. We have the resources to be invested in this agenda. Should have support from Democrats, should have support from Republicans, from our governor, from other local elected officials. But all of that only gets done when you raise your voice and you ask and you push and you show up and you persevere. So thank you for doing this. Thank you for including Flint in the Reinvest Express. Our communities are worth the reinvestment. Thank you.
In the city of Flint.